Hey folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up, it's Tud.
And I'm Obert. And, man, do you guys believe how the Super Bowl turned out?
Yeah, what a game, right?
I know.
Yeah.
You know, typical Patriots and typical Rams doing their typical things.
Right, and, we all knew, who won was going to win the entire time. It was I don't know.
What a boring game.
Yeah.
Well, except for
that missed call.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't believe that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the missed call, and then there was too many calls all at the same time. It was just really kind of crazy.
I just thought it was funny when Twitter was going crazy after the game, and Belichick did his typical Belichick thing, where he was just up there talking to everybody, and okay, yeah, we get it.
We're on the next season.
Right, on to the next season. It's oh, great. Way to show emotion after the result of the game.
Yeah. And what did you guys think of the halftime show?
Maroon 5 sucks.
I didn't see I didn't see it coming, when the person came up from the stage and just started rocking out, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't believe they actually sang Sweet Victory from SpongeBob. That was pretty unexpected.
To be honest, I watched Halftime Heat on the WWE network instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I heard that's going on. Or that went on. I can't, I saw the highlights from that match too, and I don't believe that the team won.
It was a good match.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I imagine I didn't see the whole thing.
Adam Cole hit a few super kicks. It was awesome.
But yeah, I don't know which of the two teams I wanted less to win. The team from LA or the team from the Patriots. The team that is the Patriots.
From Mega England?
Yeah.
The team from the Mega England Patriots. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, going into that game, you knew one of them was going to win and one of them was going to lose. And hey, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So, after talking about the game, let's move on from that. What are we all drinking?
I'll go first. I mean, I need to wash my mouth out from the team that won winning, because I'm either not excited or excited about it. I can't really decide yet.
Yeah.
I'm drinking. Oh God. Oh no. I'm having technical difficulties. Here we go.
Just like that kicker.
It doesn't sound as impressive.
Wow, that was a bad can break.
Well, it's a crowler, so they're kind of hard to crack. And yeah, I can't believe the kicker missed those field goals. It was crazy.
And or punts.
Right. Or extra points.
Right.
Yeah. And then there was those turnovers. Enough about the game.
We gotta move on.
We're getting carried away. So I'm drinking one of our first beers that was given to us via our beer recycling program. So thank you to Joe, friend of the pod, written in a few times. She
highlighted in mailbag last week.
Right, yes. Asked a very good packy question last week. But she hooked me up with a crowler from Key City Brewing Company out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, which I had never heard of before in my life.
How quickly can you spell Mississippi?
Pretty fast.
So, the answer we were all expecting.
So this is Solaire. It is a wit beer, and it's a horchata-inspired wit beer. So that's going to be very interesting.
Weird. Yeah.
I know.
What is
Have you
a
ever had
horchata?
horchata?
I don't know if I have had one. And a horchata is a Mexican-style drink that is made with and Obert, you're the, but it's rice and milk and cinnamon and
yeah, it reminds me a little bit of chai tea.
So it's not made with horse.
No, it's not made with whores or horses or any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it like a key party city? Was that where you're going with that?
But it's I mean, I like the art on the crowler. It's a pretty cool looking crowler. We'll have posts up on the Instagram, of course.
Oh, that is pretty nifty looking.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever had a beer from Mississippi, so this might be kind of a big deal.
New state, checking off the list.
Yeah. So I have it in my glass. Nice, kind of like a light, little bit of haze to it. Smell is I mean, it smells like a wit to me, so we'll have to
You
see
get
what
those
it tastes like.
kind of wild yeast strains.
Yeah. So, generally not the biggest wit beer fan, I think that goes without saying, but...
So for our listeners out there who might not know what a wit is, can you name a large macro brewed wit?
Yeah, so I think the one that jumps out most prominently is Blue Moon. So that's a wheat beer, so it'll be something along the lines, or should be something along the lines of a Blue Moon. Now, being horchata inspired, I doubt it's going to taste like a Blue Moon. Plus, I don't have an orange, so you have to drink a Blue Moon with an orange. So
it's a must.
But let's see how this thing tastes.
Yeah, another popular one would be Whiskered Wit in Connecticut from Beard. That's their flagship wit beer.
Shock Top is another one.
Hmm.
That's my favorite of the macro brewed wits. I prefer Shock Top over Blue Moon every day of the week.
Okay, so you can definitely tell that it's a wit beer. You do get those, and I can't describe it. It's something about the aftertaste that normally doesn't sit well with me, but I get the cinnamon. I get like a nice full flavor in the middle, and it really helps carry this beer for me. It's, like I said, really, really light.
Would you say you get any creamy, milky notes from the horchata flavor at all?
Maybe a little bit. It is more substantial, like thicker than I would expect like a Blue Moon to be, but I'm not going to say it tastes like there's milk or lactose or anything in it. There might be, but it does have a heavier mouthfeel than a normal wit beer would. 5.8% alcohol, so, not too bad. Nice, easy drinker. And, yeah, not a bad beer, especially for my first ever Mississippi beer, for a style that I generally don't care for all too much. But I'll give it a solid 3.25 out of 5.
Nice, there we go.
That's not bad, especially for a style that you don't like.
Right, yeah. Now, is there a backstory as to how this beer got recycled into your possession?
Yeah, so Joe and her sister Megan, they take a bunch of road trips and then they write a blog. And the blog is called My Next 30 Years. I'll put a link in the show notes because it's kind of hard to find if you try to Google it. But yeah, they often takes these couple day road trips and goes and does like some random stuff. Like she's gone to do ghost hunts before. There's been times where she's gone. Yeah, like they'll stay in like a haunted building and set up like ghost equipment and take recordings and all of that fun stuff. And
that's awesome.
I've read
drive a car with a big siren and a ghost with no smoking symbol over it on the side.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But they do a lot of those really cool road trips, and it seems as though, the work schedule that they work is very, very lenient and allows them to travel a lot. So they've gone to, the middle, they've gone to I believe Kansas once. I don't remember the point or why the trip, but I know they've made a lot of trips just for breweries in the past.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they do this. They go through and then they visit these things. They do these like ghost hunts and they do some other things along the way. And then they write about it in this blog, which is pretty cool. So she loves the podcast, or at least I'm saying she loves the podcast. I know she listens every week. And she grabbed this crowler for me because it was a brewery that they stopped in when they were in Mississippi. And this was their favorite beer there.
Would it be funny if she was she just told you the other day, I listen every week, but I really don't like the podcast?
That's how we get enemies.
Yeah, that's how we get enemies. No. And I'm doing a bad job of describing the blog because they do a lot of cool things, but I just haven't read through all of the backlog yet. So
great. Well, that sounds like a really cool blog.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, check it out. My next 30 years, and link will be in the show notes.
Great. So I'm going to review my beer next.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say I can't be the only one that's thirsty.
Yeah. I was going to say that, but I feel like every week I always use the "man, I'm getting thirsty" line, so I try to just cut to the chase.
Obert's got this
unquenchable thirst.
Unquenchable thirst. That's the words. That's how words work.
Yeah. English is hard. We got it.
Yeah.
Me do bad word.
So this is actually the second brewery that was featured in my Beer of the Month Club package that I got. I talked a little bit about last week.
Beer of the month, beer of the month, beer of the month.
Yep, that will be our song every time I do one because I'm going to get more of these packages. So Tud, that'll be your cue.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is from Ipswich Brewing, or Ipswich Brewery, I should say. And Ipswich is, I believe, north of Boston on the Massachusetts shore. I'm drinking the Route 1A from them, and it's a double IPA. And before I get into the beer, I want to tell you a little bit about the brewery. Again, I got the fancy dancy Malt of the Earth newsletter here.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is one of the older breweries in the state. It's formed in 91, so it's over 25 years old. It's it's a typical brew pub, and the beer I'm drinking tonight, Route 1A, was actually originally just released as an in-brewery beer, but they then expanded it because it was so popular and started bottling it and selling it. They make their own sodas, and it says here that they have a Tapmobile that you can rent for special events, which I think would be pretty cool.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I believe you can get this beer in the package stores in Connecticut too, just as an aside.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So if you like the sound of his review, folks, go out to the store and buy it.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, so here we go. Here's Route 1A. So this is a pretty standard double IPA, I would say. It's a solid, nice golden color. You can see very hazy
clear
at all. Yeah. It's a filtered double IPA. Yeah, I get a lot of citrusy tangerine notes, a little bit of pineapple. This is highlighting, I guess, in the Mandarina hops, which I've never heard of before. I guess it's a new German variety of hops.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of them either.
Yeah, never heard of it.
For the aroma, I get a little bit of that earthy double IPA aroma, as well as a little bit of fruit zest, like maybe orange peel. In terms of malt character, I'm going to say I get a little bit of biscuity flavor, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Tud Cleo says yes.
Tud Cleo says yes. Yeah, we got to bring Tud Cleo back. Overall, it's a 8.3% beer, so it's pretty standard for your double IPA. Low on the IBUs, it comes in at 64.
Ooh, so that's not a lot of bite at all on that.
No,
right. Yeah, not a very bitter profile here.
That's nice. That's very drinkable.
Yeah, definitely a drinkable double IPA.
Yeah, so you know what's interesting? Now that you mentioned that there's only 64 IBUs, remember last week's beer was at 99 IBUs, and they were saying that it's approaching double IPA territory.
Right.
So I wonder if which one was incorrect.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and actually in the newsletter here they say hop bitterness is firm but not crushing like many other double IPAs. Instead, the Ipswich Brewers chose to focus more on the fruity and floral characteristics rather than simply driving the IBUs into the stratosphere. So,
okay.
I don't mind stratospheric IBUs personally, which is why I'm going to also rate this only about a 3.25. It's coming in at 3.25 for me. I like something a little bit hazier, a little bit more of the hop aroma and character than this for a double IPA. But, if you're not into super hoppy double IPAs, maybe this beer's for you.
Okay,
nice.
Yeah. I mean, I love that bitterness, so...
Yeah, I think my co-hosts are on the same page as me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind a nice, smooth beer, but yeah, the bitterness is definitely a must if you're going to drink a double IPA.
I think friend of the podcast, Jenna, might appreciate this.
Yeah, there we go.
Our honorary fourth co-host.
It's an approachable double IPA.
Yes,
right.
Yes, exactly.
Let's face it, she probably still wouldn't like it. It's an IPA.
Yeah, who knows? We'll have to see. Jenna, see if you can't find us and let us know.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Tud. Tud, you got a final review for tonight?
I do. Hey, let me get ready here.
That's good. Come on.
Listen,
he's in position.
Somebody had to step up after that awful beer crack that you gave us.
Listen. Okay, cracking a crowler is hard.
Well, cracking a can is not.
Very true.
So tonight, in the spirit of what I've been doing all year and cleaning out my fridge, I am drinking a Reindeer Slayer from Thomas Hooker Brewing in Bloomfield, Connecticut, also in Hartford, Connecticut, in the Colt Building. This is one of my newer beers in my fridge. I bought it probably the week before Christmas. It is their Imperial Milk Stout, sorry. And the description is, lock up your furry friend Santa, the reindeer slayer is on the loose. This Imperial Milk Stout is made with for the winter and everything it has in store. So this beer is very thick, not a lot of... You can't tell if there's anything floating in the beer. It's extremely dark, no light shines through it.
How's the head?
The head's awesome. Very... I'm going to say like cookie colored. The can's also awesome.
I can see it's very dark, very, very thick head. Yeah, you could basically scoop that out with a spoon, I think.
Yeah. The can, it has really cool can art. It's a reindeer with glasses on it, getting its mugshot taken at a police station. So you'll see that up on the Instagram. Definitely check that out. So let's try it.
So I'm looking at this can art too, and is the reindeer? Is he the slayer?
I was wondering the same thing.
Or are we slaying reindeers? And do we think they missed the boat by not making it SLEIGHER?
Yeah,
I think the reindeer is the killer.
Missed pun.
Okay, so I guess Santa shouldn't have to worry unless he's slaying other reindeers.
Well, unless the reindeer is trying to kill Santa.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't know.
For back wages. unpaid reindeer labor.
So this beer's very thick, lot of coffee flavor on it, very smoky, a little bit of chocolate on the back end. Definitely a little boozy. It only weighs in at 8.5%, which I think for this thickness and this type of flavor profile is a little light for what I'm usually used to, but you can definitely taste the booze all around. Definitely a lot of coffee, maybe a slight hint of like not chocolate, like dark cocoa on the back end. Overall, a really good beer. Hooker is one of my favorite under-the-radar breweries in Connecticut. They put out a lot of good stuff. They used to just be known for, the standard selection of beers, but over the past 2.5 years, they've really come on strong with beers like Reindeer Slayer or #No Filter or Ode to Blumpy.
Yeah, all I can think of when you describe that beer is contrasting it to the Munson's chocolate beer that I don't know if they still make.
They still do.
That is nowhere basically like chocolate water, alcoholic chocolate water, which in my opinion was tasted as good as it sounds. But
this is definitely nothing even close to that. This is a beer drinker's stout.
To think that those two, that they've come from there and are at this point now, it's impressive.
They learned to adapt to the changing climate in Connecticut.
Yeah, and I think we've discussed before they have a new head brewer fairly recently, right? That came from Nebco? No, they have their head brewer has consistently been the same. It's the guy who owns the business. They had an old brewer, though, who basically gave them the recipe for #No Filter and Ode to Blumpy before he left, and he went to go start New Park Brewing in West Hartford. Okay, that's right. That's what I was thinking of.
That's how they basically got into the New England IPA train. And then this beer, I don't know where this came from, but the brewer over at Hooker has definitely stepped up his game recently, and they're on fire. Definitely go check them out if you're in the Hartford area. Their beer is always readily available in their breweries, both in Bloomfield and in downtown Hartford. They're also available in basically every single package store. Overall, I'm going to give this beer a 4.25.
Actually, I know two of the brewers there.
Really?
Yeah, and Todd, I think you've maybe met them once. I don't remember, but Jonas and Cy from formerly Steady Habit.
Oh, yeah.
I believe they still work there now. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Those guys made some pretty good beers back when they were working for Steady Habit.
Yeah, they worked there, and then they worked. I know at least Jonas went to Armada, and I don't know if they worked at 30 Mile for a minute, but yeah, I know recently they've been brewing over at Hooker, so they're moving up in the brewing world if they listen to the podcast, which I assume everybody does. So
that reminds me. Also, remind me to bring up Armada Brewing in a little bit. I have a story about them to tell the pod too.
Okay, yeah, we'll do.
But speaking of potentially shitty beers that Connecticut doesn't have.
Oh no! That's right, folks. It's a potentially unfortunate thing. We have a quick face your beer segment, and I say quick, but it's a bomber, so it might be. It might not be
you
so
just pour
quick.
some in my glass here. I'll drink some.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you're going to want to drink this beer, Obert.
That's...
You know, I don't know either. So we were going through cleaning out the garage, which is always a good start to a beer story. And we came across this box of Noble Brewer. Now, I don't know if have you guys heard of this before? Or
Only because of you.
No.
Okay.
But this sounds like something you would find in like the attic of like Muppet Babies. Just like just like you blew the dust off the top of this box and it was just like a hidden treasure in your garage.
Right, yeah. So Noble Brewer was actually kind of a neat thing in theory. And what they did was they would take recipes from like home brewers and they would contract brew and basically just do like one batch or a few batches of this homebrew recipe. And then you would pay X amount of dollars a month and they'd send them to your house. So you'd get a big box of like 12 beers.
Oh God, that has the potential to either be really good or really catastrophic.
Well, it's funny how the story goes because apparently the way that happens is if you sign up for a new box, sometimes they will throw in like, you'll get 6 extra beers or whatever. And those 6 extra beers could be who knows how old. Like they could have been, an IPA from a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. So there's some weird stuff that happened there. Either way, I signed up and I got a box and I drank one of the beers or 1 or 2 of the beers when I first got the box and they were not great.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate.
I mean, that's a very cool concept, though.
Absolutely. That's why I ended up buying the first box. I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. And like every quarter or something, you would get more beer. So I don't think they do this anymore. However,
yeah, based on my quick Google, they don't exist.
Okay, all right. So there you go. So luckily for our listeners, though, I still have almost a full box of these bombers sitting in my basement right now.
The beer that has outlasted the brewery.
Yeah, right.
It's like a whole box full of Face Your Beer segments.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this one goes.
Chris is going to do his first vertical tasting.
All 22-ounce bombers.
Yeah.
So here we have American Pale Ale. I picked out one that I don't think would have cellared very well. So, you're welcome. You're welcome drinking alone with
Face
friends.
Your Beers Nation.
Yeah, that's right. You're welcome. # friends of the pod. It's called our Jared Little Pale. It's an American Pale Ale. I don't know when it was brewed. I don't know when it was bottled, but I know I probably ordered this in maybe late 2015, early 2016. So it's probably 2.5 to 3 years old since I've had it, and who knows. So we decided, you know what? Why not? People love it. They're clamor for it. Why not give them a quick Face Your Beer segment?
We get some positive reaction from the last video we posted of me taking the shot, peppermint shots. So.
Yeah, we might have to do this. Let's see how this thing pours, and we might have to set up the same kind of thing with this. So,
is it bad that I'm still rooting for the first puke on the pod?
I'm waiting for it to explode when he opens it.
I know, that's what I'm
that could also
worried
occur.
About. I'm
keyboard.
Very nervous. Move everything. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh God. Oh no! It happened. Oh my God. Okay, so it definitely did explode. I was able to contain it into the glass. So, you got a decent amount of head on that right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I think it would have been it's still going.
We might get the first puke on the pod.
I don't know about that.
When was the last time that you puked from a sip of beer? Not like being drunk, but like
0 times.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened. I don't think I've ever had a beer that was bad. I've never seen
anyone who's had a sip of beer and thrown up.
Yeah.
Maybe today will be the first.
I gotta say, I'll take a picture of the inside of this bottle cap too, because oh boy, I have a feeling it's gonna taste really like metallic.
Can you hold it up to the?
Can you see that?
Oh geez.
Yeah, it's a little bit moldy, maybe.
You might die of like dysentery from this.
Oof. Okay, so I smell it and I get absolutely nothing that it's like. It smells like a pale ale that's way too old. Like, that's exactly what it smells like. So
it smells like disappointment, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't look great. I mean, I didn't like roll it or anything, but it just looks kind of
disappointment with like maybe a hint of sweaty sock.
Yeah.
Ted Cleo doesn't want any part of this.
All right, so here we go. Episode 23, Face Your Beer segment, Jared Little Pale. Let's see how this goes. So here we go. Oh boy. Oh my lord. Woo! Oh man. Oh man. Whoo, man. That is a rough beer. That did not. Oh man, it's like it almost tastes like sour, like spoiled, just not in a good way. Not in a good way. Oh man, yeah,
I've seen you drink some bad beers before, but I don't think I've ever seen you make that face drinking a beer.
I mean, I'm gonna finish it because it's what we have to do. It's the law of the land, but it's rough.
That's that dysentery coming for you right there.
How is there any sediment in there?
It's probably all at the bottom of the bottle.
Okay.
Maybe the next go round once I
guess you just got all the stuff that exploded out. So
man, it is bad. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Jared Little Pale, Jaded Little Pale. Oh man, I read that wrong a bunch of times. But this is not a good beer. This is not a good beer at all.
If you could come up with other adjectives than not good to describe this beer, expand on that sour.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I can tell at one point it was supposed to have some kind of citrus flavor to it, but it's very muted and like really, really sharp now. And I can taste the malt and like nothing seems to work right now. It just, I don't know. It's really hard to describe it.
Reminds me of maybe a slice of orange you would get in your Blue Moon from a bar that you would never ever want that orange to touch your beer.
Oh,
that's
like every
that's
single
probably
Hartford
pretty true.
College bar. Ugh.
Right. Yeah. That orange has been sitting there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Or if you ever had an IPA that sat for it tastes like an IPA or a keg that maybe the lines weren't taken care of very well and the keg's old to begin with. Like bowling alley.
Yeah.
Bowling alley.
I can name any bowling alleys. I know the
Would
exact flavor you're talking about.
Would you say that it's like letting a IPA that you get in the mail from a home brewer sit in a garage in Connecticut and then move to Tennessee and then continue to sit there? Is that what it tastes like?
It tastes something like that, but yeah. Yep, it's a bad one. I mean, I would never drink this beer again, so I don't know how that would correlate on a scale of 0 to 5. Is that a 0.25 or a 0.5, I guess? I can't imagine it's the worst beer I'm ever going to have, but I'm never going to drink it again.
Yeah.
I think my official stance is a 0.5.
Okay. I think a 0.5 is you can imagine a situation where you're at a table and there's 2 beers in front of you, and one of them is this beer and one of them is the worst beer imaginable, and you have to finish one of them.
Yes,
that makes this a 0.5.
That's a 0.5 then. Beer. Yes, that's what this is. That's fair. So throughout the rest of the episode, if you hear shuddering, it's me just trying to finish this beer. So
shuddering so badly that it makes its way into the microphone. All right. So after that amazing, incredible Face Your Beer segment, after listening back to last week's episode, I noticed we talked about malt a little bit and how we didn't really know that much about it. So I wanted to bring a new segment to the show, which I'm calling a sequel to Hoppy Hour, Malt Minute.
Ooh, that's a
nice.
name.
I like that.
Yeah. I got to give Chris the credit for coming up with the name, because that was all him.
See, now it sounds like I'm just nicing myself.
No, I was very impressed too. I think that makes the segment. But we're gonna teach our listening audience a little bit about different kinds of malt. And today I want to start out with the most common malt in 95%, maybe 99% of all beers, and that's barley. Barley is a cereal grain like wheat or rye, meaning it's like the seed of a grass plant.
Like Fruit Loops?
No, not that kind of cereal. Like a cereal grain. And so when we talk about barley, it's actually, like I said, the seed of the plant. And to understand the different kinds of the different kinds of barley we're going to talk about today, you got to learn about malting. So how malting is done is by getting the barley wet and warm and convincing the seed that it's springtime so that it'll start to grow and break the starch in it down into sugar. And before the seed starts using that sugar to grow, the barley is roasted to stop the grain from growing. And based on the different roasting techniques and methods, you get different types of malt. So there's a bunch of different kinds of malt. So in order to make it a little more memorable and to help us understand a few of the different types of malt, we asked a few malts to join us today in the studio, believe it or not.
Ooh, second guest to the pod.
Yeah, right?
Some extra guests.
Yeah. So first up, I want to introduce you guys to, let me get them on camera here. We got the base malt. Hi, everybody.
Hi, base malt.
Hi, base malt. Why so sad?
I'm base malt. I'm just roasted enough to not burn, and I add a lot of fermentable sugar, but not a lot of flavor. Some call me boring, and they're pretty much right. I'm pretty boring. When you think of base malts like me, think of stuff like pale ales and pilsners, basically beers without a lot of malt flavor. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for
base malt. Thanks for bringing it down a couple notches. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, damn, man.
Hey,
have some
what
passion.
Can you say? I bring the alcohol. So
I guess that's true. You're kind of like the nerdy 21-year-old at like a high school party.
Pretty much.
He's like the guaranteed like wingman. Like he like, you know.
Nobody ever called me a buzzkill. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Space Malt. You can get out of here now. Next up, actually, we have our next guest, the marvelous Crystal. Crystal, welcome to the studio. How's it going tonight?
Oh, howdy, boys. I'm Crystal. I'm sweet and I'm full-bodied like a Georgia peach. I'm normally roasted wet, so some of my sugars turn to caramel. I make beers like Reds, Ambers, and Oktoberfest. You know, yeah, so.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can't really make any of the really awesome beers without me, so.
Some would say, would you say you're too sweet, Crystal?
You know, some folks might say that, but when you're dipped in sugar like me, I don't understand how you could ever be so. How could you get sick of Crystal here, you know?
We've lost touch. Wow, Crystal. So yeah, I'll remember you next time I'm drinking a red ale.
Oh, yes, you were, darling. Well, come October, you'll all be thinking of me, so.
Hey, Crystal, it's base. Is there any way, maybe, I don't know, are you doing anything later?
Oh, base, bless your heart, my love. You know, yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's just, yeah, you know, I'm just a little busy. I have to go out to the farm and pick my peaches and get my Tennessee honey, you know. So unfortunately, maybe next time around we can hook up and, you know, maybe go to the
make a beer together.
Yeah, maybe we can make a beer together.
Okay. All right.
It sounded very close to a "it's not you, it's
Crystal.
me" type conversation right there.
And actually, we actually have a third guest, believe it or not, in person tonight, in studio. We have the one and only Black Malt. Black Malt. Oh, good to see you.
Why, hello. I'm Black Malt.
Oh, howdy, boy. I like this one.
How you doing, girl?
I'm doing just fine. You know all those plans I just talked about? I think they're all canceled now.
Wow.
Meet you in the back after the show.
You sound smooth, Black Malt.
I'm Black Malt, and people say I am the smoothest. I've been roasted like a cocoa nib or a coffee bean, and I make beers dark and add chocolate or coffee flavors. When you think of dark malts, think of dark beers like stouts, porters, or black lagers.
That's crazy. It's weird that you have the sunglasses on in the studio when it's barely lit in here. But I guess that's your style.
It's all good, baby.
All right, I guess that's it. We have it, folks. We gotta thank our guests. Thank you, Base Malt. Yeah, I was happy. Okay, and I also want to thank Crystal. Crystal, thanks for coming in. And, if you're not busy later, I wouldn't mind, we can get in touch a little later on.
Darling, those plans, they just resurfaced again. But, again, next time around, maybe, just maybe.
And Black Malt, thanks again for coming in tonight. It's always a pleasure, always a delight.
I'll be here all evening.
Great. Well, thanks. So that's our first Malt Minute. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And I think we have plenty more of these in store in the future, but hopefully that'll help you remember a little bit of the different kinds of malts and what they can bring to beers.
Yeah, it's crazy how people just want to flock to the show. We have one person on, and then all of a sudden,
we have to have all these guests. Yeah,
they just
international sensations taking off.
Just is what it is. Oh, there's so much of this beer left. Oh my god. Oh,
sad I can't help you out, I guess. Not really.
So, I know you guys saw the article that I had texted to each of you about the most underrated breweries from each state in the country as done by Thrillist.com.
Yeah, I have that. I got it in front of me right here.
Yep,
and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I did too. Just to ruin the article for everybody, for Connecticut. They voted Fat Orange Cat, which is one of the breweries that is the closest brewery to my house, as the most underrated brewery in Connecticut. And then it listed Kent Falls Brewery, which is a beer that I featured, I think, 3 weeks ago, as the as the top rated brewery in the state. And so I passed it on to you guys so you guys could see what was in your state as well and maybe talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The Connecticut one, and I've talked about Fat Orange Cat after my trip to Connecticut, and I've been there.
Yeah, I don't think they're that if you live in Connecticut, I don't think they're that underrated.
Well, I think that's the key sentence right there is if you live in Connecticut, because if you live outside of Connecticut, I know there are folks that have never heard of it and they put out amazing beer. Love them, but
yeah, that's true.
And I mean, like I said, when I had previously reviewed it, it's tough to have a brewery that's only open 1 day a week for tastings. So that's another reason why I bet a lot of people aren't familiar with them, because it's not a popular spot that you can go 7 days a week. You can only visit there on Saturdays to drink beer.
Yeah, that's true. A good point. Yeah.
So I don't know what you would say for the most underrated brewery in Connecticut was. We were talking about it, and I went with Steady Habit because that was where we had our going away party, and it was a lot of fun. They had some good beers, and it's kind of an industrial feel. But if you don't really know where they are and you haven't sought them out, you probably haven't heard of them. So that's what I said Connecticut's underrated brewery, in my opinion, is.
Yeah, I think it might be maybe Relic, which Chris drank one of their beers a couple episodes ago. Not a lot of people give them a lot of love, even though they put out about 30 different beers in cans. They're constantly coming out with new IPAs and new stouts. Another one is the beer I had tonight, Hooker Brewery. I mean, they're one of the oldest breweries in the state, but at the same time, they've reinvented themselves and they're putting out some of the best beer in the state, too. And nobody gives them a lot of love because, like you said, a lot of people remember them for like the Munson's chocolate beer or
the watermelon.
Or the watermelon, just things that, are just kind of run-of-the-mill now in Connecticut. But these guys, I mean, I would argue that they brew those beers, but they don't even care about those beers anymore. They've moved on to the bigger, better things that are great. I mean, #No Filter is a perfect New England style IPA.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I would put Hooker on the list. I understand your points to it, but I think Hooker is just too big a name to be underrated.
True.
You know what I mean? I think of like a 30 Mile or maybe a Shebeen. I know they're not.
Yeah.
Or even, and this is a shout out because I used to go here after work. But have you ever been to Black Pond Brews up in Brooklyn?
I have not.
Like, they're pretty good too. They're very small, but they put out some good beers too. So if they're listening, which again I assume everybody is, shout out to them.
See, I always confuse them with Black Hog because they are very similar names and they're similar locations.
Well, yeah, except they're similar locations, just opposite ways.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, they're north somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought there was a couple interesting other things on here. Just to take it to my home state. Brewery near me, Tamarack, made their list of most underrated, which they're okay. Tamarack is. I've been there for a couple flight tastings with Enemy of the Pod Blevin. Came, yeah,
Blevin.
Came and we went to Tamarack.
Blevin should really just stop drinking beer.
Wow, it's throwing the gauntlet down, Ted. But their food's very good for brewery. Their beer's very approachable, and I know that makes me sound like a beer snob, but it's beer for everybody, and they don't do anything that crazy. My underrated brewery is definitely Bonsai because they are willing to try crazy stuff, and I like that in a brewery. And the number one brewery, they said Lewis and Clark Brewing. I don't think I've featured them on the podcast yet. They have the Prickly Pear Cactus, the Miner's Gold. I'll have to bring them on sometime because they got some good things. So keep that out. Keep an eye out for that in the future for Lewis and Clark Brewing from Montana.
Will do.
Yeah, and I mean, if we go down south to Tennessee, I'm apparently a very bad beer person because I haven't heard of the most underrated and the top rated brewery in the state. So it's going to be on my to-do list, so to say. The most underrated would be Blackstone Brewing, which is apparently in Nashville and one of the oldest breweries in Nashville. So good job, me. Apparently I just walked right by it. And then the top-rated brewery is Blackberry Farm, which sounds promising, but I don't know where exactly that is either. So it doesn't say. So who knows? Maybe in the next few weeks I'll be able to get some of these beers on the podcast. Any friends from Tennessee, throw some beers my way.
And I did see Yazoo was on their list that they mentioned.
Yep.
Which I know we are, as a podcast, lukewarm on, I would say.
Their beers are okay.
But they're not top rated level.
No,
compared to Southern Grist.
No, I didn't think they were at all.
I mean, the beer's good. It's just it's part of it's part of like where we grew up. We grew up in New England. We like New England IPAs, so we like the Bearded Iris and the Southern Grist and those kind of things because they make really, really good IPAs.
But if I was going for a dark beer like Sioux in Tennessee, I would go to that Star Spangled Banner place and get that traditional ale over the Sioux. Yeah,
that is a very good beer. As mentioned before, the Winchester from Star Spangled Brewing, they're very good.
Do you mind if we talk about Vermont for a second? Because
I love talking about Vermont beers.
But before we go there, though, I would like to say maybe potentially one for Connecticut, and I haven't been there, is that one that you talked about on the pod a couple episodes ago.
Little House.
Little House.
Yeah, they were really good. I think they're so small that it's hard for them to even make this list. A list like this for all 50 states is going to probably gloss over some of the smaller places in it. But yeah, I keep thinking about that trip, that brewery I went to, and it was really, really good. If next time I make it back to Connecticut, there's not going to be a lot of time, but that's definitely one of the places I would want to seek out again because I was very impressed with them.
It's on the short list of places for me to visit, so
yeah,
I just wanted to add that in as a side note.
My advice to you would be go on a time where you don't think it's going to be crowded because it's very small.
Okay.
So, or you show up early or something like that if you want to get a good seat. Don't show up Friday at 8 p.m. or something like that, But yeah, do you guys mind if we talk about Vermont real quick? Because I thought this was interesting. And Vermont has so many breweries. They're so highly rated. How do you pick an underrated brewery here?
I mean, the state's huge. I mean, kind of like Connecticut where, they have over 80 breweries. Connecticut has over 80 breweries. I'm sure Vermont probably is well north of 100 at this point, So I'm sure there's a ton.
Yeah, that's a bold claim with no basis behind it. But but they have on the list Von Trapp Brewing, which last time I tried Von Trapp beer was probably in mid-decade 2014 or so, and I was really not impressed with them.
Yeah, I've had them after you have had them, and I really like them. Just for everybody out there. Yeah, Von Trapp is different from everybody else. They don't make the New England style IPAs. In fact, I don't think they make any IPAs. Von Trapp does lagers and like German focused beers, like Oktoberfests and Bocks and that type of stuff. I think their beer's pretty good for what it is. It's not it's not an IPA. It's not my go-to beer, but every beer I've had by them has been a solid representation of the beer they've been going for.
Yeah, maybe it's just because lagers are not very attention-stealing in my mind. Maybe that's what makes them underrated. But I think I can get a good lager most places. And if I'm going to drive all the way up to Stowe, I'm going to keep going past Von Trapp and go to The Alchemist, because you can't go wrong with any of their beers.
If you're sitting at a bar in Vermont and you don't feel like having any more, 8%, 9% heavy IPAs, ordering up Von Trapp's Pilsner is a solid, I'm going to sip this beer and enjoy it type beer.
It kind of gets back to last week about the discussion on would you drink a non-alcoholic beer. It's like, are you tired of 8% IPAs? Keep drinking beer, but just, dial it down. And of course they say that the top-rated brewery in the state is Hill Farmstead.
Which it probably is. I've been there twice. I don't know if I'll ever go back, partly just because it's so out of the way. But their beer is really good.
And I think that's part of the appeal too. Is it's an odyssey to get their beer.
I get it, but at the same time, kind of like going to any of the big breweries. At a certain point, it becomes more hassle than it's worth, especially in a state like Vermont where all their beer is good.
Yeah, as someone who's never been, I would make the drive, but I don't think I would make it 3 times, like you're saying.
So, everybody, it's that time of the podcast where we start winding down and share with you our handles on our Frosty Mug of Wisdom. The handles can be anything from a life hack to recommendation to anything that comes to our mind. We just want to share something with you listeners so you get some value out of the podcast on top of all the great knowledge that we share. And with that, I think I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
So this week I'm going to share I don't know if I'd call it a brewery. It's called The Beer Collective. It's out of East Haven. What it is...
I'm already intrigued by the fact that you don't know if you'd call them a brewery.
Right, and when I explain it, you can tell me what you think it is. So it is a building. It's actually where Armada is brewed out of, as well as about 4 or 5 other breweries, including Overshores. So Overshores was the original brewery that was there. And then when 12% Beer Project came in and took it over and was brewing out of there, and then they left, Overshores never really took back over the building. They basically invited a whole bunch of other breweries from the state in, and now they brew, like I said, 5, 6, 7 different breweries.
Collaborations?
No, well, breweries out of the same building. So, you'll have Overshores there, Armada's there, Hoax Brewery is there, and a few others that are just brewed there.
That's cool. So the different brewers come in, they share the same brewing equipment. I assume they each have their own tanks, and then release the beers out of the same spot? Or are they all, you get them at that tap room?
Yeah, you can get them out of the tap room. They can them, they distribute them, and all the brewers who all the brewers who brew out of there also work in the tap room. So they all own this building, this brew house together, but they all brew their own separate labeled beer out of the building.
That's a really cool partnership.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if you call it it is a brewery on obviously because beer is being brewed there, but it's not like going to 2 roads. You can knock off 5 breweries in one stop because they're all in the same building.
That's cool. Have you been?
I went to a baby shower there a couple weeks ago. So, yes, once.
That's cool. Yeah,
it's on my list to go back to.
So just a weird fun fact, I guess. I actually went to Overshores years ago. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when it was just Overshores, and it was a very small operation. So it's kind of cool to see that they don't really brew as much, but it's kind of cool to see that they've come and they've given back to the beer community, and now it seems they're like the headquarters for this beer collaboration. That's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, the foster home of all these breweries.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, Overshores, I'm assuming you didn't like it. It is they brew a very European style beer.
Oh yeah, no,
on purpose.
No.
So yeah, so they basically just stole the idea from 12% Beer Project, which, as we all discussed in another episode, is a nomadic brewery that just sets up shop at one brewery, brews out of there for a couple months, and moves on. So basically, these guys just wanted to keep that idea around because it was clearly a successful business for them.
That's cool. So your handle is go check them out.
My handle is The Beer Collective in general. Go check them out. Stop by. If you don't like one of the breweries, don't worry. There's others to try. and they all taste slightly different. It's a good spot. The brewers, like I said, they're there working. They're the ones who are pouring the beer for you. So if you have a question, you can actually talk to the brewer who's brewing for that particular brewery and ask them about the beer.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, who wants the mug next?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one.
All right, here you go.
So today I'm going to put over a YouTube channel and put over. That actually works out well because it is called Cultaholic.
That sounds like a channel that you would listen to or watch.
As a cult fan.
No. Cult. Cult, not Colt.
Oh, so it's like a Scientology based.
I mean, sorta. I mean, kind of.
Cult. What's the difference?
It's a wrestling channel, so kind of a cult, I guess.
Okay.
And they're a bunch of guys that were formerly from What Culture Wrestling, which is another YouTube channel that I don't watch anymore.
I get the cult now. Culture,
yep.
Got it.
And so they're formerly from them, but they've branched off, made their own YouTube channel, and they cover basically every single WWE or New Japan or AEW or whatever it may be. They don't only do WWE, is kind of what I'm saying.
Okay.
And they're pretty funny. They do some really good things. They do predictions and then like live reaction videos. They have these WTF moments, which are just like really, I mean, we all know wrestling is completely real, but sometimes things don't go according to plan. And
of course. Yeah.
And that's what tradition.
Right. And that's what they highlight in these WTF moments, and they're really funny. And of course, the guy who does the WTF moments makes fun of people just a lot. So if you're a wrestling fan, they're worth checking out. And I definitely, I don't know.
That's cool.
I mean, I've kind of fallen off the wrestling bandwagon as of recent like months, but I still try to keep up with my Cultaholic videos because then I'm at least kind of in the loop. And
do they come out once a week, or is it randomly, or?
Yeah, I mean, they come out a lot.
Daily?
Sometimes. I mean,
whenever there's wrestling news, they're there.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll cover wrestling news, and then they have so after every Monday Night Raw, after every SmackDown Live, after every pay-per-view, NXT, they do like what happened on, and there's a whole slew of videos.
So what I'm imagining is it's basically what happens on my text feed between Todd and Chris whenever there's wrestling
during a pay-per-view.
Instead of texting each other 100 times, they'll just say, "Dude, we got to get in the studio and record ASAP," and then meet up and film a video.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, instead of we have this, so pulling back the curtain, we have this like podcast text kind of chain where it's all three of us, but 2 out of 3 people watch wrestling. So.
And 1 out of 3 people gets confused by lots of wrestling texts.
I think the best part is that we no longer text each other separately.
No, we don't. I mean, very rarely do I text just Hud or just Obert.
We are DAWF podcast.
Yeah, through and through. So if you get wrestling text, you also get wrestling text.
So can I ask a question? What happened to What Culture? Did we why did they fall off?
I don't know why. I know they were let go, I believe, for some reason. I don't know if it's because they wanted to start their own channel. Not positive, but I know that What Culture is still around, but I don't watch them anymore out of solidarity. So, but there it is, Cultaholic on YouTube. Check them out if you like wrestling. They're really funny. But I think we have one more handle left, and that belongs to Sir Obert.
Yeah, thanks. All right, here I'll take the last handle. I have a really interesting video game for my handle this week, for the final handle on our Frosty Mug of Wisdom. I sent both the co-hosts a trailer of it, but the game is called The Voyage of the Obra Dinn, and it's a game unlike any I've really ever played before. Imagine a murder mystery, kind of like, the movie Clue or The Murder on the Orient Express. It's like a whodunit scene, but the point of the game is you show up on this ship where all of the passengers have disappeared, and you have to figure out the fates of all of the crew members.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just beat it yesterday, and basically what happens is you can kind of go back in time and view scenes from each death, and you have to use the clues in that scene to identify who the person was and how they died or disappeared and who killed them. So you basically travel around this old, early 1800s ship and figure out these murders. And it's also in a really interesting graphic style. It's like they called it not 8-bit, but 1-bit graphics. Imagine like something on a Commodore 64 or like an old Apple II computer, yeah. It's really interesting.
That's pretty
cool. And I know
a
lot of games now are doing low graphics because it saves money, but this also serves more of a narrative purpose. I'm not doing the best job describing this game because there's so many different facets to it, but if you like really strong storytelling and indie, non-traditional games, I really recommend you check this one out because I got hooked. It's a great game to beat in maybe 2 weeks or so, where you can just kind of play through it once and watch the story unfold and have a lot of fun with it.
Is it only available on the PC, or is it available on consoles as well?
So it appears that it's only available on Steam right now, PC and Mac, but they're looking to port it over to consoles in the future. But I know Chris is a PC gamer. I don't know. Tyler, you play games on your computer sometimes, right?
Every once in a while.
Yeah. Worth checking out on Steam, definitely. And we'll put the trailer in with our handle show notes here.
Awesome. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, so with that, Ted, why don't you take it away?
So with that, thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank the breweries that provided today's beer. I'm going to go first with Thomas Hooker Brewing out of Bloomfield, Connecticut for supplying Reindeer Slayer.
I'd like to thank Key City Brewing Company out of Vicksburg, Mississippi for their Solaire Wit.
And who are you not thanking?
Oh, I am not thanking the Noble Brewer, Jaded Little Pale. Definitely not thanking you. It took me probably an hour to finish this beer. I did it. It's empty, but boy, I did not like it.
Wow, good for you. Yeah, I'm going to thank Ipswich Ale Brewery with the Route 1A double IPA.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Untapped at DAWF Podcast. If you haven't already followed us on those social media channels, please, just go on and follow us. You get all the same great information that you're getting on the podcast. Just every day of the week, we're posting pictures or funny stories and that type of stuff. Hashtag follow the email with comments, questions, general thoughts, concerns, hatred, or anything else that you'd like to share with us. I know a lot of people don't like, other hosts of this podcast don't want to hear what you've had for breakfast, but I care.
No general comments.
I care. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and make sure that you go on to iTunes, whether you're an Android user or a PC user, and have no other way of going to Apple. Download iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review. It honestly helps people find us, and that way we can do more cool things with our podcast. And with that, I'm Tud.
My name's Crystal.
And I'm Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone,
do it with friends.
Oh boy. We're going to have Crystal back again one day.
Yeah.
You guys wish you could have Crystal back one day.
Ooh, Crystal's getting spicy.
Yeah, where's that black ball? Where'd he go off to? I liked him.
Do it again.
Well, hello there.
Oh, hello there, big boy.
How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Now, let me just ask, have you ever gone into an orchard and picked out some Georgia peaches? Because I swear I'm the juiciest, wettest thing you've ever seen in your life.